when's Earth Day? End of April sometime. Anyway, the reason I'm saying that, the reason I'm thinking that is because, it's lovely, friends and neighbors. Springtime. The spring is sprung. The flowers is riz. I wonder where the huge amounts of money are. Yeah. Walking this morning with the wife. Cool air, like 8 degrees, 9 degrees Celsius, which in freedom units is like 3 hogs' heads in a king's toe or something. Anyway, cool. Pleasantly cool, but warm sun in a flawless azure sky. I tell you what, sometimes, friends, sometimes, not every day, not all the time, but I'm going to say a significant majority of the time, for me at least, it is good to be alive. It's good to be alive. It's good to be out there in the world breathing the air. I mean, particularly given the other option, which has been much on my mind of late, but then again, it's been much on my mind throughout my entire life, to be honest, because many brushes, many faceplants, many just getting whacked across the head with that aforementioned alternative when I was a young wonder chicken and throughout my life. And so, been conscious of the joy of being, even if being isn't so great in the moment, overall, conceptually speaking, the whole package. Yeah, it's good to be alive, friends and neighbors. I tell you what. And the spring, oh man, I was imagining as we were walking, our far in the past ancestors, 300,000 years ago, whatever, before we invented, discovered, tamed, were able to control fire. Is that more than 300,000 years ago? I don't know. But 300,000 seems to be the sort of general cutoff point for modern, physiologically speaking, humans, millions of years back to Lucy and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, what I'm saying is, it must have been a thing. Mornings like this in the springtime, a couple 100,000 years ago or more, when people were like, oh, we survived. We survived the winter. Here we are. Feel the sun on our, we get to be warm for however many months. Unless it was during an ice age, in which case it sucked all the time. I mean, unless you liked freezing to death, which I'm sure very few people did. Very few people do these days. I don't think humans have changed all that much in the intervening millennia. But yeah, and let's worship that. Let's worship that bright, shiny things that make us feel so good right now. Let's worship that. Let's call it God. Hopefully he won't throw thunderbolts at us. Yeah, I can well imagine what a joyful thing it must have been, because it was a joyful thing for me this very morning. And I tell you what, I mean, the adverse consequences of day-to-day, month-to-month, week-to-week weather doesn't impact me as a modern, relatively rich, globally speaking human, because I got a house and I got heat inside the house. And I got ways to make things hot and ways to make things cold and ways to make myself hot and ways to make myself cold, and all the benefits and wonderments of modern technology and the world in which we live today wasn't to hand so much. I mean, it still isn't for a lot of people, must admit. But vastly more and increasingly more and acceleratingly increasingly more as time goes by. I mean, the world seems to be in a horrible place right now in so many ways. But the truth is, if you look at the numbers, them things, that, the acceleration in the decline of the number of people who are without fresh water or without shelter or without enough food globally, getting better. Ever faster, which pockets of resistance to life being better for other people. We all know where those dark nexies exist these days. But I tell you what, overall, the numbers are good. The numbers are getting better, and that's a glorious thing, despite the fact that we have way too many goddamn people. Too many people. People, people who have the temerity to suggest that there are too many humans and we might better off with few of them get called eco-terrorists. And you know what? Eco-fascists even. And you know what? Don't like that. Don't care for it. I think it's a perfectly reasonable, logical, rational thing to say. We have too many goddamn people. But that's changing too, because peaking out in the developed world, at least, which is more of the world these days than it used to be, birth rates have clearly hit a peak and on their way back down. Even in places like China and India, where the largest single slices of the human population live, on the way down. I mean, China, demographic crisis coming in the next 50 to 60 years. I mean, they are going to be in big trouble, because they'll be like Korea and Japan are now, where you have what is becoming a flat majority of the population my age, and 5 years, 10 years, 15 years later, depending on how lucky you are at my age, then you are dependent on other people, on the state, on family if you have any, because your health is failing and you haven't been earning for however many years. So, yeah. Anyway, good and bad, my friends, good and bad in all things. Speaking of good and bad, Call of Duty Warzone. Hooray! Hey, I did a segue. Look at me go. I'm segueing.